We'll start our conference agenda. After the
Freeholders, Actor, Bartlett, here. Cass, here. Duffy, here. James, here. Deputy Director Labor, Director Lazare.
Thank you, Director. First on the agenda, we have a presentation of from our health department. We have Dr. Doug Gill, with Paul Fenn and Joe Pizzillo here as well to give us the annual county state of health. Prognosis is good.
Good evening, good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to present to you the state of health of State County for the year 2019. And as the administrator mentioned, Paul Fenn, the supervisor of the environmental team, is here with me, as well as Jill Pizzillo, the superintendent of mosquito control. First of all, 2019 was quite a busy year for us. Sure. We began our year with shared services to 2 municipalities, and we ended it with 4 municipalities. Completely different municipalities with different needs and wants. In addition, 2019, actually, in addition, I'd like to take this moment to recognize Mike Lovin, who in 1993 began this department with the environmental team. So this was a huge thing for us. We would not be here tonight if it were not for Mike's work on this behalf. Thank you. So that one division health department has now blossomed into 4 health divisions, and the mosquito division is represented here, and Jill will speak to us about their activities for 2019.
Good evening. So the Mosquito Control Division had really 2 noteworthy events in 2019. First,
you got to speak up because people
sure.
want to hear what you have to say. I can't hear you. So.
Sure. First was the detection of lacrosse virus in Wayne. Now, lacrosse virus was discovered in 1963 in La Crosse, Wisconsin. It's a rare disease. It's CDC estimates about 60 human cases are confirmed each year nationally. We found it in Wayne, and we responded accordingly. We went out to the habitat, eliminated the source of the mosquitoes, where they're coming from, and performed an adult deciding application to knock down the adult population of mosquitoes in the area. And then on June 12th, I presented to the GPHP, the Governmental Public Health Partnership meeting at the Wayne Health Department, where Dr. Gungil was present, other local health officers, public health nurses, and community health educators were present, and I disseminated information about lacrosse virus there. And we feel, we'll continue to monitor for lacrosse virus in 2020 and beyond and respond accordingly. The other noteworthy item in 2019 was the detection of Asian longhorn tick. That tick was first discovered in Hunterdon County in 2017, and as you may guess, it successfully overwintered in New Jersey, and now it's found in a number of counties in New Jersey, including now Passaic County. We identified the Haemaphysalis longicornis longhorn tick in Woodland Park at the end of October. We'll continue to monitor for that tick and other ticks throughout New Jersey. Ticks are of growing interest in New Jersey with regards to tick-borne disease such as Lyme disease and several others. So New Jersey and Rutgers and the county mosquito control agencies are working on developing some sort of tick control methods. But for now, really the responsibility is on individuals to protect themselves, and that you may have noticed some of these signs going up around the county parks. These signs inform visitors what they need to do to, and thanks to Darryl Sparta for getting these signs out. Basically people, if they're going to enter tick habitat, they need to wear repellent, or they need to, when they come back from being outside, outdoors, they need to check themselves for ticks. And if they do find a tick on themselves, what to do to remove the tick. So we've been distributing tick removal tools at the health fairs, at the Tuesdays in the Plaza, at the county fair. These tick removal tools are ideal to remove a tick off your body.
Thank you, Joe. Next, I'll have Paul Fenn give you some highlights from the environmental team.
Thank you, Charlene. Good evening. Afternoon. So, yes, like Charlene said, I supervise the Environmental Health Division. And thank you. One of the programs that we administer is the Right to Know program, which includes we do 50 inspections of private businesses to make sure that chemicals that they have at their facilities, that if they're need to be reporting to the state, that they are doing so. So we do 50 of those as per the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. In addition to that, we also train the county employees regarding hazards that they may come into contact in the workplace. That's to maintain compliance with the public and POSH. So then, in addition, as part of the Right to Know program, we've been doing this program for several years now with providing free radon kits to any of the residents in Passaic County. It's something that we've focused on up county because it's mainly radon, something that could be exposed in your home, is in more rocky terrain, primarily in up county, but in anywhere in New Jersey, it's possible to be detected or become in your home. So last year, we distributed 144 free kits, and the reason being is the DEP wants the awareness to be raised about it being the second leading cause of lung cancer. In addition, we have a large volume of files, and so people will request information, and we, through Oprah, fulfilled 372 requests and provided any information that we had. The next slide is more about the day-to-day operations that we did. So as you can see by the slide, we completed close to 1,000 site visits / plant inspections. In addition, responded to citizen complaints made directly to our office. Some of the issues that we dealt with were addressing odor, dust, noise, solid waste, safe drinking water, hazardous material incidents, and other environmental concerns. And doing all this, we not only did it ourselves, but in collaboration with agencies from the local governments to state government agencies to accomplish this work for the protection of human and environmental health.
Thank you, Paul. So my emergency preparedness team leader is not here today. She had a family emergency, so I will. Okay, thank you. So I will just give you a rundown of what that team accomplished in 2019. They trained over 220 people, especially via the Medical Reserve Corps, which is a group of volunteers that we manage according to our emergency preparedness grant. And some of those trainings included a Narcan overdose training, active shooter, psychological first aid, etc. It's a very, the scope of the Medical Reserve Corps is very wide. We have over almost 400 people who are registered with us. We have medical professionals, and we have community workers. So anyone could join the Corps. It's just a group of people who we are training based on some criteria that we received from the CDC to make sure that we have a trained cohort of people in our community. Another group of things that this particular team completed were, they were responsible for the eye screenings. And the eye screenings, we have 2 sites throughout the county, one in West Milford and one here in Patterson. The one in Patterson is always full. Unfortunately, the one in West Milford is not as a full screening clinic, However, we're continuing to have it because we feel that there is a need of county to have our services, so we will continue to support this venture. Some other things that we've done, 75 communicable disease cases were investigated, so cases from hepatitis A to pertussis were investigated and completed. We had 4 lead investigations, and lead investigations are interesting because of the amount of work that goes into it. So it's not just finding lead paint or lead source in a home, but also following up with the child based on the amount of lead level in their blood. And there's a very specific number that we look for the child to go beneath in order to make sure that the child is safer than they were before. We have health clinics, we have health fairs, and of course our popular flu clinic that we have here and throughout the county. So this was the overview of the Emergency Preparedness Group, and I'll speak a little bit more about that a little bit later. The Solid Waste and Recycling Program instituted 2 new programs last year, one of which is called Recycling Rangers. Recycling Rangers is a new innovation from our department. It's the first in the state, where we actually have staff going out and educating businesses on the recycling rules in their community. So we've researched what recycling laws there are in each municipality, and they are given that information. They go to businesses, discuss that with them in an educational environment, because we believe that education should precede enforcement. So this program is going very nicely. It began in the fall and it continues now today. Another program that the Solid Waste Recycling Division completed last year is another innovation in New Jersey, and it's a Q-Star solar camera enforcement program. So what we found based on data from the DEP was that there's a lot of illegal dumping in some areas. There is not a lot of enforcement of those dumping violations and other solid waste and recycling violations. And we know that we don't have the resources to do that work within our department. So what we did was we procured the funds necessary to provide these Q-Star solar camera, which were recommended by the DEP, as well as the New York City DEP, which again is run by, it's solar, it's a solar camera. It can record behaviors of people. It can record vehicles as they're dumping. They are placed in specific strategic locations, and their recycling coordinators from every municipality was trained on this. One was provided for each municipality, and I believe every municipality except one has received theirs. So we're looking forward to being able to change the trajectory of illegal dumping and solid waste throughout our county. So today, so the last couple of weeks, we have been, I'm sure you've been overwhelmed with information or just news snippings of coronavirus. So I decided to include this in my presentation, though it is not a 2019 event, but an ongoing hot topic in public health. And towards that end, today alone, I believe I was on 3 conference calls to discuss the public health response to the coronavirus. And I don't know if everyone is aware, but coronavirus exists in our community every year at this time. We are concerned with the number of cases that we get. As a matter of fact, in December, we had an outbreak in one of our facilities on coronavirus. But it is not the coronavirus that you're hearing about in the news today. The coronavirus is a novel, which means it's a new coronavirus. And so this coronavirus, it is presenting similar to other ones, with a fever, with a cough, shortness of breath, so cold symptoms. The difference is that this could develop rapidly into something else. And as you know, the last conference call I was on today said that it's now in 12 countries, confirmed cases. We know that there are 5 in the United States. There are no cases in New Jersey, no confirmed cases in New Jersey at this time. But this is part of what emergency preparedness does, because anytime someone has an issue with a communicable disease, it is our responsibility in public health to have a response ready or to find the resources to have the necessary response. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention today. In the U.S. there are 5 cases thus far. Again, to reiterate, there are 0 cases in New Jersey, and we are working with the New Jersey Department of Health, the CDC. I have provided information to the 4 municipalities that we cover. I have met with my staff. We created some additional talking points which are simpler and easier to disseminate to our population. And though we don't know much about it, we know some basic things. We know that hand washing is perhaps the most important thing we could do to stop the spread of any respiratory condition. We know that we need to avoid touching our face or nose and so on. And we know that if we are sick, we should stay home from work. And if we are well, we know we should avoid people who are sick. So whatever we do basically for the common cold and for the flu, we need to institute those things right now as we are concerned about coronavirus. In New Jersey in general, we are not very concerned because unless somebody has gone to the Wuhan province in China within the last 14 days. So in the absence of that, there is a low level of concern in our state. Regardless, we're still being prepared for it. Thank you. This is our presentation. If you have any questions.
Chinese response seems to be remarkable. First of all, it's not that open normally, but it has been very open in this particular virus outbreak. What's the mortality rate? Do they have a guess on what the mortality rate on this particular virus is now?
So I don't think at this point we have the mortality rate yet, because the mortality rate would be the number of deaths per people who are sick population. And we don't have a good number of population because that number is changing. The number is changing all the time. So I haven't seen any data that has, I could do the numbers that we have so far, but every time I get a report, the number is different. So they're not ready to do a case fatality rate. They're not ready to do any rates yet.
They just seem to be very concerned. So, I think your warnings and your suggestions on what we can do are well placed. We appreciate it, really do.
I think that we've all learned globally because of SARS and MERS that we have learned that we can always expect something new in that viral environment, and that if we institute it's almost basic hygiene, almost basic common sense, but common sense is not common, that we could really protect ourselves from so many things. And I think that's part of what you're seeing with that response.
I likewise appreciate the distinction you made between coronavirus and the coronavirus, because it sounds like it's a bit like talking about the flu. You're really talking about sort of a family of viruses. So if somebody hears that such and such a facility, as you pointed out, had a coronavirus outbreak, we're not talking about the deadly one that apparently, to Bruce's point, we don't really know the mortality rates, but it's being treated as a very serious circumstance in China. This was very helpful to understand the range of what your department does. I'm also aware that health is one of those public service spaces where we've been able to do a lot over the last couple of years, working with our municipalities and actually providing public health services in and on behalf of municipalities across the county. Could you tell us a little bit about that and the way in which that shared service is both increasing public health and also saving resources here in the county?
Sure. So since 2017, we began this journey with shared services in our municipalities. Woodland Park was the first municipality who signed on with us. And so what we did was we reviewed the practice standards that are required by the state of New Jersey for each municipality to provide. and looking at what they have accomplished or what they were experiencing, we were able to present to them what we could do to meet those requirements and how we could exceed and excel with those requirements. Because, you know, one of the things that we have to be concerned about when we have minimum standards, they are minimum standards. It does not preclude us from doing optimal standards. And so our focus is doing our best and providing to our constituents the best that we can do in terms of health services. And so that's how we proceeded. So we looked at what was there and what we could provide. And using staff, one of the things that I'm very big on and my team could attest to is cross-training. We have a very educated, very knowledgeable staff. And a lot of times their knowledge is wasted because they're in a box and this is all that they can do, all that they have to do. But they're willing to learn new things and to expand their knowledge base. And that helps us because we can provide services, a whole array of services with not many changes in personnel as a result. So that's how we approach it. How can we best provide optimal health facilities and services to our constituents using, as efficiently as possible.
One more question. Sorry. Do we have to take any special precautions in our nursing facility? And do we? I mean, so when these things pop up, is there some kind of extreme thing that we do?
So that's a great question, and I'm going to have a conversation with Mrs. Corrado about it. But the Department of Health, the New Jersey Department of Health, has provided guidelines for all facilities, for hospitals, for long-term care facilities, specifically looking at their infection control procedures. So once those procedures are reviewed, we could talk about excluding people who are sick from coming in. But, we can talk about signage so that people will know if you're sick, don't come. But those are common sense things that we would do in a long-term care facility. The most important piece that separates the novel coronavirus from general flu response is the fact that this emanated from Wuhan province in China. So unless somebody was there recently or they were in close proximity to someone who was there within the last 14 days, then the risk level is much less than for regular routine response to respiratory illness. However, for long-term care, like our long-term care, we always need to be vigilant to make sure that people are not bringing in respiratory conditions to our patients.
Dr. Gundill? So I had a question regarding our solid waste and recycling division. You're talking about the illegal dumping, which is a huge issue in the city of Patterson in particular. Who has jurisdictional responsibility over illegal dumping? Is that a municipal issue or is that a county issue?
So it's a municipal issue, but it can be complemented and supplemented with our support. So the cameras is one of those programs. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I want to do is to provide a couple more cameras to locations that have more illegal dumping. The important piece of that, Freeholder, is that the municipality will have to respond by enforcing the regulations. So we can provide resources so that they could identify people, but then they'll have to do the next step because we can't do that.
In terms of the cameras, that was a grant that was given from the state?
That was a grant.
So, and how much was that grant for?
So the total amount for that grant for that year was $534,000, but that's for a number of programs, of which this is one.
Okay. Yeah, I just would like to see more. Those cameras are actually useful. We don't know the success of them yet. But, one camera in Patterson is probably not going to help solve the problem. So I would like to see that program actually expanded if possible. And even if it means applying for additional grant dollars and having services there as well to support municipalities. I know we can't support them with the enforcement, but at least in terms of providing them information on who to go after. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, Director, next on the agenda, we have a presentation for, I don't know, some might call him a quitter after 40 years. Thank you.
Nice presentation.
But, as many of you know, Mr. Blevin has served the County of Passaic admirably for the last 40 years. Is packing it in and going to bask in the sun of Florida, at least part-time. So his last day is this Friday. This is his last meeting here in the County of Passaic. And the Director has a proclamation. Why don't you step to the podium, Michael? All right, why don't all the freeholders go down to the podium?
Collectively, matching. Yeah.
So all these years.
We usually love giving out proclamations because it acknowledges people who have done great things and people who we hold in high esteem. I'm not so happy about this proclamation, and I'm going to tell you why. I love Michael Grogan, and this is what they call institutional knowledge. That is so important to everyone. Any business you're in, institutional knowledge comes with the fact that from 40 years ago, we may not have that paperwork, but Michael has it in his head. It's all in his head. He is a wealth of information. He recalls facts like a teenager. I mean,
That's what you were. When you started, you were a teenager.
Well, 40 years, I was. Yes, I was a teenager when we started, actually. And Michael actually has shared some, and personally to me, Michael is very special. He's worked with my dad when my dad was worked here in the county, and he shared some stories and things that are very deep to me. But to give this to you, Michael, you know how much I love you, how much and I say it all the time about your institutional knowledge. It can never be replaced. And thank goodness that there's cell phones that we can call you. Because don't get too relaxed on the beach. You never know. So we are going to present Michael Grogan with this proclamation. And I just want to say, it's going to tell you everything about him, but unless you know him, it's not even the tip of the iceberg. So, actually, I would like to ask one of the freeholders that has worked with Michael the longest to read this proclamation. And I don't want to take it.
I wasn't a teenager 40 years ago. Just trying to say. I did not point that out. You pointed that and ratted yourself out. So I'm going to read it, and some of it, the whereas are always kind of boring. But whereas the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Passaic has the desire to recognize Michael H. Grogan, Esquire, who will be retiring on January 31st this year for 40 years of service to the County of Passaic, and whereas Michael Blevin, Esquire, earned his BA degree from Temple University, JD from New York Law School, where Michael joined the office of the Passaic County Council on January 15th, 1981, assistant county council, later became deputy council, and in 2019 he was appointed to serve as Passaic County Council.
In addition to his duties in the county council's office, he also served as the county adjuster for a short period of time. Michael Glovin handled litigation involving bail forfeitures, condemnation proceedings, personnel matters, election matters, workers' compensation, and many other legal matters during his tenure. He represented all departments with respect to litigation and legal opinions, including the sheriff, county clerk, superintendent of elections, the prosecutor, and also served as the attorney for the Employees Retirement System and the Passaic County Construction Board of Appeals. Michael Glovin was instrumental in countless projects and undertakings by the County of Passaic, including the creation of the Passaic County Health Department, that we just heard from tonight, the Self-Insurance Fund, the arrangement in connection with the Passaic County Community College with respect to the construction of the Passaic County Fire Academy, public safety complex, and the acquisition of Sterling Forest Tract for open space purposes. And whereas Michael Glovin, a distinguished and outstanding public servant, is a unique and most respected colleague, associate, and friend of many persons within Passaic County, whose public service career was marked with commitment, dedication, integrity, earning him the respect of all who came into contact with him. Whereas the board wishes to express its gratitude and appreciation for Michael by recognizing him for his genuine interest and concern for the well-being of citizens of this county. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Board of Chosen Few of the County of Passaic that it publicly acknowledges and congratulates Michael H. Glovin, Esquire, as a fitting tribute for the significant contributions he has made and the time and effort and energy which he has unselfishly devoted to the citizenry of Passaic County. Be it further proclaimed that this board wishes Michael Glovin, Esquire, continued health, happiness, and success in his future endeavors and an absolutely wonderful retirement.
I don't want to be long-winded about this, but I do have to give some people thank you, so just bear with me for a moment. The first thing I have to do is thank the freeholders for showing the confidence in me in appointing me as county council after all the years that I worked here. I hope that you weren't disappointed and I did the job for you. I wanted to thank department heads, many of whom are in this room in the back, for all the cooperation that they've given to me over the years that helped make if I had a tenure here, it was a success. I need to also thank members of my staff, or my former staff, who are here tonight and who are not here, because if I had any kind of success that I had, it was all due to them, really. They're the ones that worked unselfishly and tirelessly to make the legal affairs of this county work well. So I want to thank all of them for coming and for being here. I wanted to also thank the attorneys on my staff. I'm not going to name any names, but a lot of them work tirelessly and have done a yeoman's job of doing it. Also to all of my friends in all the departments who are here tonight that helped me along the way, and who I hope I helped a little bit to do a success. I also wanted to thank the Democratic Party, Chairman Curry here, for showing their respect of me. I was appointing me, a non-political guy, to the job. That's something that I very much appreciate, seeing that I was not a real political person. I'm still not a real political person, but let's not get carried away. I worked for them for 12 years, believe it. 12 years I worked for them, and I made it through. That's partly the reason I probably was appointed. They figured if we can get through that, we can get through anything. But again, thank all of you for coming. Thank my family, my brothers, my sister-in-law, Leslie, for coming tonight. I greatly appreciate it. My wife did not want to brave the cold, but she wanted me to send her regards to all of you who know her, and thanks again. So I appreciate it. One last thank you tonight. I want to make my successor, who graciously insisted that I do this meeting tonight as a farewell. So thank you very much, man.
No, let me have it. You have it. They wanted it. They wanted it. Sorry. I'll vote you after that. They don't even recognize
Director, if I may, I just want to just say a couple of words. When I walked into this job 17 years ago, I didn't know anybody. And there are certain people that just are there to help. And Michael was just that person in the department. I'm not a lawyer, so I relied heavily on the law department. And Michael was there. Michael has taught me a lot about public service, how to handle yourself, a lot about how to handle freeholders. That'll maybe between you and I. But Michael was a little bit of everything to me. I think he was my rabbi, my psychiatrist, but most of all, I'm very proud to say that he has become my friend and will be my friend, and I wish him all the best in retirement. And I'm sure when Cheryl gets sick and tired of you down there, she's sending you back. So we might see you a little bit more. But honestly, Michael, I can't thank you for your professionalism and your friendship.
Thank you very much,
Okay, as we move on, review of the agenda. Do we have any late starters, amendments? Oh, you want to do comments first?
Madam Director, through you, there is one late starter, which I will read, and there are two proposed amendments. Late starter, which I believe would be like 81, is a resolution authorizing Management Information Systems, IMS, to enter into an additional award of a contract with National Time Systems in the amount of $6,684.50 for the extension of maintenance agreements for attendance enterprise for the period ending December 31st, 2020.
Director, for the record, it's a K86.
86, I apologize.
The late start.
Wrong number on this. Yes.
Last mistake you're ever going to make.
We still have a meeting to go here. The amendment is as an amendment, and the number on this resolution is incorrect. It's actually R40. All right, it was R40 is a resolution authorizing Passaic County Human Services Department to make payments to Meadowlink. The original resolution, I believe, says it's going to be $46,000. That resolution needs to be amended. It turned out that they actually owe $54,074.76 for the period of June 1st, 2019 to September 9th of 2019. So I would ask that resolution be amended. Also, Madam Director, through you, you'll note on your agenda that Resolution 71 and 72 both say the same thing. An additional payment to United Federated Systems for security for for fire alarms. 171 is for security systems. The resolution is correct, but the title is wrong. So I would ask that from the floor that resolution be amended to provide for security systems rather than fire alarms. 72 is correct. 72 is correct. 71 is one that needs to be amended. Both say fire alarm. That's all I have. Yes, there is a need to go into a short executive session tonight.
Fielders, Apter.
Yes.
Bartlett. Best.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
James. Deputy Director Lepore.
Yes.
Director Lazare.
And the board is going into executive session for the purposes of contract negotiations or litigation or personnel pursuant to this law. Open Public Meetings Act. Know this by heart.
And still, maybe yes. Yeah. Well, someday I have. I'll just say. Well, that's good to know. Yeah, so maybe things are better. So we're just going to be here, right? Because there's nothing in there. I'll go back to my seat. Something's going to be public session.
Duffy. 4. Freeholders, Apter. Bartlett. Best.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
James. Deputy Director Lepore.
Yes.
Director Lazare.
Yes. Have a motion to come out of the conference agenda?
Freeholders, Apter. Bartlett. Best.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Deputy Director Lepore.
Yes.
Director Lazare.
Yes. Okay, can we have the announcement of the open public meeting law?
Ladies and gentlemen, the notice requirement in the open public meeting law has been satisfied with respect to this meeting, specifying the time, date, location, including the notice adopted with the reorganization meeting filed with the county clerk, posted in the administration building, and mailed to 2 newspapers in accordance with the provisions of the law.
Thank you. Roll call?
For the record, I just read the Open Public Meetings Act, now on record. Freeholders, Apter. Bartlett. Best. Duffy. James. Deputy Director Lepore. Director Lazare.
Here. Can we all stand for the invocation?
O God, who provides for thy people by thy power and rules over them in love, be gracious enough to bless thy servants, our freeholders, in this county of Passaic, that thy people may dwell in peace and safety through our Lord. Amen.
Please join me.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For a moment of silence to remember all the men and women of the armed forces who have died while they were serving. Thank you.
Do them separately, please.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve the minutes of December 30th, 2019 and January 6th, 2020? James and Arthur.
Freeholders, Apter.
Yes.
Bartlett.
Yes.
Best.
Yes.
Duffy.
Stand.
James. Deputy Director Lepore.
Yes.
Director Lazare.
Yes. Approval of the proclamation?
January 6th.
Huh?
January 6th.
I did them together. I did both of them together. I did. Have a motion for the approval of proclamation? There are none. Okay, freeholder reports. Does anyone have a freeholder report? We'll begin the new year.
Director, through you, the Public Works Committee had a very busy committee meeting last week. We have 30 resolutions on the agenda tonight for the freeholders review, and I respectfully ask for the support for passage.
Thank you. Anyone else? Communications, none. We are going to open up the oral portion of this meeting. Just so you know, if you come up to the podium, you need to state your name and your address. You have 3 minutes. And we will let you know when those 3 minutes are up in case you lose track of time. So can I have a motion to open the public portion meeting? Actor and Bartlett.
Freeholders, Actor. Yes. Bartlett. Yes. Best. Yes. Duffy. Yes. James. Yes. Deputy Director LaFour. Yes. Director Lazare.
Yes. So you're welcome to come up.
Good evening, everyone. Director, thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm here this evening extremely optimistic.
Excuse me to interrupt. You need to state your name and address.
Thank you. Michael Jackson, Patterson, New Jersey. I'm here tonight extremely optimistic. Freeholder Best often brags about how quickly these meetings move forward, so we're not going to be here too long this evening. And I'm also optimistic because I think that all of you who sit on this board are extremely compassionate people who care and have concerns of those members of our community. I'm here this evening to talk to you about an incident that took place within the confines of our county. It was an extremely heartfelt, egregious incident where a young lady almost lost her life. I had an opportunity to meet Ms. Jackson, and the moment I met her, I absolutely fell in love with her. Mostly because, just like the incident for Kobe Bryant, none of us have ever met him. But as we heard of the incident, our hearts automatically poured out to his family, to his young daughter, and to him for tragically losing his life. And in the case of Ms. Jackson, just to witness someone who had to endure something so terrible and who actually had the strength to come through that, your heart automatically pours out for her. And that's how I felt. So I'm standing here this evening a bit disappointed. As a councilman who chairs over a $280 million budget, who often has to hear cases that come before the council, we settle matters of such small importance so quickly. If someone falls and trips and falls on a set of stairs, if someone is spoken to improperly in an office space and feels that they've been discriminated against, and we often quickly settle. This young lady was shot 5 times while an officer in this county sat and watched the entire incident happen and caught the entire thing on his dashboard camera and failed to act, to intervene, to make an attempt to save her life. And on that note, I'm here to, one, inform this board, because I think as her family is before us tonight, and as we begin to release more information to the public, I think the public is going to cry out, because this is something that really needs a lot more attention. It doesn't deserve a push to the side. It doesn't deserve to be overlooked. It deserves to have its complete attention, because someone who we all take an oath to protect and serve, as that officer did, as whoever that person was that put that officer in that patrol car that evening, we have an obligation to protect our people, and we failed Ms. Jackson on that evening. So I appreciate the opportunity for speaking. Obviously, we have a few more concerned residents in the community. I also have a copy of the video for each of you on the flashcard. I'll hand it to Freeholder Duffy here and allow him to distribute it. Please, take a moment, and it's very graphic, so you might want to watch it when you're alone. But just so you'll understand what Ms. Jackson had to do.
Thank you. You need 3 minutes to sum.
Good evening, freeholders. My name is Corey T. of Patterson, New Jersey. I'm the actual activist that Tashelle reached out to at the beginning of this tumultuous incident that almost took her life. And even today, it still baffles my mind how she was able to endure that and still be alive today to tell the story. But what bothers me is that this was not that it would make it any better, but this was the officer that was sitting in the car was not a rookie. He was top brass. He already had years of experience to know how to handle these types of situations. And as you look in that video, you will see a part of it where he jokingly talked about the incident, almost matter-of-factly, almost bragging about what happened and almost acting like he had the right to just get away from it and just move on, because after all, this is just Passaic County. We have to not allow that to be tolerated. Again, it wouldn't be right if it was a rookie, but we're talking about a seasoned sheriff's officer who has years on the force, who obviously came through the ranks and understood policy and procedure, who took the oath many years ago to protect and serve, who understands their obligation that if you are at a situation and somebody is being attacked or hurt, that it is your responsibility to jump out in front and protect and serve that person, not back the car up. Literally, back the car up. As Tashelle was laying in the street being shot like a dog. I know some of y'all have seen videos of life. Sometimes we mix it and we say, and I'm just using for the expression, we'll say, Joe's a good guy. Joe's a family man. Joe's a nice person. But we're not talking about the person right now. We're talking about an officer who has a responsibility and has a job to do and failed to do that job. And as a result of failing to do that job, that young lady almost lost her life. And even though she didn't lose her physical life, her life changed from that moment. Her level of trust for people, period, went away at that moment. She's regaining it slowly, but when you go through something like that, and you witness the person that was supposed to be there to protect you back away from you, it takes your trust away even from the justice system.
Thank you, Mr. T.
I just want to make sure you guys understand that this is not going to go away. I understand. I'll be back.
Good evening, all. Tashelle, come up here.
Please state your name and address.
My name is Darlene Morris, and I live 137 Grant Avenue in Eatontown, New Jersey. This is my niece, Tashelle Jackson, the one that was shot. We live in dangerous times, and these dangerous times call for dangerous women. Not to be feared, but to be fearless, because we have to stand up for what is right for women. We have to support one another. Everyone has become so well adjusted to injustice that they just do it without even thinking about it. But today, I'm standing in support of my niece because she underwent an egregious situation, and we ask that you take this situation very seriously, because even though she is alive, and thank God she is, the trauma of watching the film just traumatized me. And women, we don't have to be empowered. We have power. But we have to put our power together and stand up for one another and not be afraid to say anything that you think. You have to be fearless because there's nothing anybody can do to you. You have to stand up for what you believe, speak your truth, don't allow anybody to change your mind, and stick with it regardless to what. Because at the end, God has the final word. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Chanel Fields, and I'm here to speak on behalf of Tashelle Jackson. I just asked that...
Can you just share your address with us, please?
237 Sycamore Lane, Scranton, Pennsylvania. You're welcome. I ask that everyone will close their eyes with me for a second. If you have a daughter, a niece, a mother, a grandmother, and think about this young lady who grew up, went to college, got a wonderful education, had a great job. All she ever hoped for was love, and entered a relationship where she could not predict this outcome ever happening to her. Sadly, she was shot 5 times, as we've heard. But I want you to change the narrative and just picture it as your daughter, your sister, or your niece, or possibly even your mother, getting shot like that 5 times. Would you be so comfortable in your sleep? Would you be so comfortable in your seat? Would you be so comfortable in your mind? Because she's not. And we thank God for her life. We thank God that she made it. But the fact of the matter is, she relives this nightly. She relives this daily. She's reminded of it over and over again. If that were your fate, would you want the world to turn its back on you? And if that answer is no, then you need to do everything in your power to make sure that justice is served. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Chandra Frazier. I live at 287 North 6th Street in Prospect Park. I'm just coming to stand with Tashelle in the aspect of all that's happened. And it's funny you opened this meeting up in prayer. So that lets me know that you have you know who God is. What happened to Tashelle is a tragedy. And I say that from seeing the video, and the video went viral. You guys have to look at this and understand if something isn't done, what it can do to what's already being, the damage that's already being done in the city of Patterson, in our county. And being one of Tashelle's friends, I know how I talk to her. Just imagine your mom, your daughter, your sister having to take medicine just to go to sleep so you don't relive the trauma. If she hears a car backfire, it triggers her. And we're standing with her because we want to send a message to young ladies that it's not okay to be abused. And if we let this get swept under the rug, then we're telling young women that the very officers who took a sworn oath to protect and serve us, that they're not honoring the oath, that they're not there to protect us. And it's not like it's the first incident, it's reports. She has reports of abuse. And I'm encouraging you to watch that video. Because for an officer, a seasoned officer, to see something like that, I mean, you guys have to take in consideration, because that shows me that his mentality, I don't know if he wasn't properly equipped or trained, but that was a situation when he dropped the ball. And if we're going to open up a session and put the Lord's name in it, we know that God is a just God. Justice is God. He is the supreme judge. And we want to make sure that we do the right thing. It's okay if he takes responsibility and said, you know what, I froze. Because looking at the video, I don't know, I might have froze too in a situation like that. Just because we have a job, if we were never faced. I know plenty of people that are in the armed forces but never went to war. But when faced with circumstances, maybe he didn't know what to do. But we want to set a precedent in this city to let it be known that we're here to protect the very ones, because just keep in mind, we voted for you guys.
Thank you, but your 3 minutes is up.
Okay.
Thank you for coming.
This guy's name is good evening. Wahida Muhammad Patterson. And you know, when I was sitting there, first I wasn't going to come to this mic. Because right now, just the idea that anything happened like this to an individual, a human being, and to think that we are okay, that's not okay. And I just want to say to you, freeholders, and this is not to point any fingers at anyone yet, but I want you to know that a lot of the people, when they saw you, Freeholder Duffy, I don't know if that's protocol, to give the bag to the sister to take in the bag. People felt like you were putting it in the garbage. And I don't want them to leave here thinking that that's what happened. So I just wanted you to clarify that. Yes, I want you to clarify that, so they will know that you did not just discard.
In an envelope, individual.
Absolutely. I just wanted to clarify that. Absolutely, because I didn't want them to go home thinking that your heart was not in the right place.
I don't know the particulars. I can't comment.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But that's not.
But that's why we're here. We're here to make sure that you know what happened. Because it's always okay when you don't know. But see, it's a different story when you know.
I got you.
And we know now that you will know. So the next time that we see you, we will know that you have a better heart about what happened to this young lady.
You know the Freeholder Board now.
Absolutely. And that's why I'm here. Because I really feel that you all are good people. And you only want what's good and what's right. So we're here to say to you, we're trusting that that's what you're going to do. And we thank you and God bless.
Seeing no one that's funny, we move to close the public portion.
Freeholders Actor, Bartlett, Best, Duffy, James, Deputy Director of the Board, Madam Director, I just want to advise all of you that I have, since this matter, as you probably know, is in litigation, I have advised the board to not comment tonight or at this time on any of what was said during this oral portion, because the matter is presently in litigation. Later on, perhaps it will be appropriate, but right now it's not appropriate for the freeholders to respond at this time.
Can I have a motion to add page 86? to our consent agenda. Bartlett and Upton.
Freeholders Apter, Bartlett, Best, Duffy, James, Deputy Director LaFour, Director Lazare.
Can I have a motion to amend 40? Just 40?
40 and 70.
40 and 71. K40 and K70. Warren Bartlett.
Freeholders Apter, Bartlett, Best, Duffy, James, Deputy Director LaFour, Director Lazare.
Yes. I have a motion to adopt resolutions K1 through K86. Roll call.
Freeholders Apter, Bartlett, Best, Duffy, James, Deputy Director LaFour, Director Lazare.
I have a motion to move the personnel.
Second. Freeholders Apter, Bartlett, Best, Duffy, James, Deputy Director LaFour, Director Lazare.
Yes. I have a motion to accept the bills.
Second. Freeholders Apter, Bartlett, Best, Duffy, James, Deputy Director LaFour, Director Lazare.
Yes. I have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Deputy LaFour.
Freeholders Apter, Bartlett, Best, Duffy, James, Deputy Director LaFour, Director Lazare.
Passaic County residents, Census 2020 is about to start, and we need you to be part of it.
Every 10 years, the U.S. Census counts every person in America by finding out who we are and where we are. The census helps us get what we need.
Census data tell the government where to spend billions of dollars every year, funding for schools, roads, hospitals, public safety, and other things that benefit our community. Businesses also use this data to determine where to build more factories and stores, creating more jobs. In Passaic County, the more of us get counted, the more of those resources we get to make your community safer and stronger. Count all the seniors, and there's more funding for long-term care and Meals on Wheels. Count all the young kids, and there's more funding for early education. Count all the teens, and there's more funding for after-school and jobs programs. Count all the people with disabilities, and we can make sure they get the care they need.
Also, a more complete count means we have more of a voice in Washington and in Trenton.
In 2010, we were undercounted. That cost us millions of dollars, and New Jersey lost a seat in Congress. We're not going to let that happen again. Wherever you live in Passaic County, all of these things are in your hands. This one survey can promote prosperity for the next 10 years, but only if we all answer.
Your census responses are confidential. They cannot be used to identify you or anyone in your family to any other government agency.
Not the IRS, not ICE, not code enforcement, not any agency. There's no citizenship question, and questions about race and national origin help us protect civil rights and improve access programs and services in a variety of languages. So when you're filling out the census, be complete and make sure you include everyone in your household.
Starting in January 2020, you can respond to the census on paper, by phone, or online. For more information, visit the website below. So look out for your census form and tell your friends and neighbors. In 2020, we can make Passaic County count.